What is going on, everybody? It is the holiday season. We are in December. I feel like this time of year is exciting for a lot of people, but I also feel like for other people, it can be very stressful. It can be a little daunting, anxiety inducing. There are a lot of different emotions that are conveyed at this time of year, and a lot of people search for those comfort films around the holiday season and look for movies that are like, bring that spark of joy or excitement about the holidays. But today I'm not going to talk about any of those. Today I'm going to talk about holiday horror films, bringing the reality of the holidays to life. All of those terrible situations that you go through, whether it's fights with your family, forgetting to get the right gift, overcooking the Christmas meal, whatever it might be, the problems that arise around this type of year. I feel like holiday horror films can take some of those emotions and elevate them in a very relatable way, or provide some form of joy if you're sadistic like I am. And so I thought it would be fun today to talk about some of my favorite holiday horror films. And these could be films that you know a lot about. There might be some films on this list that you've never seen before. But either way, I'm excited to give you some of my favorites today. So without further ado, let's get into it now. First up is going to be the film Deep Red from Dario Argento. This isn't necessarily a Christmas-centric horror film, but it is set around the holidays, and it is about the most Dario Argento you can get. It has a wonderful score that is really eerie and ominous. There are some really wild visual sequences in this that still to this day make me uncomfortable, send shivers down my spine. Similar to a lot of other of Argento's work, this is a mystery film where you're trying to figure out who a killer is. It keeps you on the edge of your seat from start to finish, and despite the fact that it is not 100% focused on Christmas, it is set around the holiday season. You can kind of feel it in a lot of the scenes, and I respect that when directors set horror films around the most wonderful time of the year. So if you've never seen Deep Red, it's one of my favorites in Argento's catalog, and it's definitely worth a watch. Next is going to be the film P2. This is a movie I just watched recently, I think last year for the first time, and this is about a young woman who is getting off work, about to go home to visit her family. She goes into the parking garage to get her car, finds out that she is locked in the parking garage with a deranged security officer. This movie is a hell of a lot of fun. It is suspenseful, it's violent, it's got two really great performances. There's really 2 to 3 main actors in the entire film, and they all provide really compelling performances that keep you on the edge of your seat the entire movie. I didn't know what to expect when I watched this movie the first time, and I really enjoyed it, and I feel like this is just one that is going to get better with multiple revisits over time. If you've never seen P2, check it out. It's great. Up next is the film The Lodge. This is a psychological thriller. This isn't necessarily 100% around Christmas time, but it's set in a snowy, isolated cabin in the woods, and what I love about this movie is it's unconventional, and it's all about the performances. All of the actors in this give absolutely incredible performances. Most of the film is you being uncertain as to what is going on and building up that mystery and suspense to where when you finally get to the third act and it is revealed to you what is occurring, it's absolutely horrifying, it's demented, it's deranged. I love the direction of this. Riley Keough is the lead in this. She's one of my favorite actresses. I think she gives a phenomenal performance in this movie. And yeah, go in knowing as little as you can about this movie before you watch it, and you will be taken by surprise. Next is the film Better Watch Out. This is a movie that I knew nothing about before I went in to watch it, and I am glad that I did not know a single thing about this. This movie takes twists and turns that you will never expect. It is a home invasion type of movie. That's all I want to say about it. It's really unique. It's darkly comedic in moments. It is incredibly violent. And yeah, just go watch this movie. I really don't want to say a whole lot about it because it's just that engaging and entertaining and really kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. Great performances in this one. I need to rewatch it again this year because it's been a while since I've seen it. Up next is a new personal favorite for me, and that is Anna and the Apocalypse. This is a zombie musical that takes place around Christmas. I loved this movie a lot. I think the music is genuinely great. I think the performances are really good. The film also takes the violence very seriously, which I feel like for something like this, it doesn't necessarily have to, but there are some really brutal kills. It also gets very dark in the characters that are killed off, like people that you wouldn't expect to be killed in the movie get killed. And I really like that. It's a zombie movie that's also a musical that takes the zombie element very seriously. There's some cheesy dialogue in it, which I think makes sense being the fact that it is a musical, but it's such an entertaining and fun film, and it's one that I look forward to revisiting every holiday season. Up next is the film Inside. This is a French extremist horror film. This is pretty much the most dour you could ever get around the holiday season. This is about a pregnant woman who her and her husband got in a car accident, and her husband was killed. She's living at home on her own. She just goes to the doctor to make sure the baby's okay. They tell her everything's fine, but she needs to come back for a visit after Christmas. So she's at home by herself, and while she's at home by herself on Christmas, this deranged woman shows up at her house and tries to kill her. This movie is suspenseful. It will keep you on the edge of your seat. It is incredibly violent. One of the most violent Christmas movies that you could watch. It is dour. It is depressing. It will definitely swipe that Christmas joy right out from underneath you. But it's really well shot. I really like this movie a lot, and I think more people need to see it. Up next is one of my favorite holiday horror films, and that is Krampus from director Michael Dougherty, who most people know Michael Dougherty from Trick or Treat. Krampus is right there with Trick or Treat for me. It is deranged, it is dark, it is demented. It's also a ton of fun. What I love that Michael Dougherty does with Krampus is he really looks at all the cynical elements of the holiday season and kind of brings them to the forefront. The opening sequence of the movie is people like shoving each other down in a big store at the beginning on Black Friday, beating each other up over sales, and I feel like it's so indicative of his feelings about the holiday season. And I really like when you can take something that's so joyful and exciting like Christmas and kind of spin it on its head and make it really dour and depressing. And I think it's perfectly executed in this movie. It is funny. I love the practical effects in this. I think all of the creatures look really great. They're all very unique and have a very distinct personality. The soundtrack to this movie is incredible. It's like they use familiar sounds you get from Christmas music, but turn it on its head to make it really dark and demented. And there's just so much attention to detail in this movie. It is phenomenal. If you've never seen Krampus, it is one of the best holiday horror films you can watch. Up next is Silent Night, Deadly Night. Last year, I actually did a full ranked list of the entire series of Silent Night, Deadly Night, and the original is my absolute favorite. It had a lot of twists and turns in it that I didn't expect. It was also a commentary on the Catholic Church, which I really did not expect whatsoever. I felt like it was really well shot. It's very suspenseful. It keeps you on the edge of your seat up until the very last frame. And I really like the way that this movie starts. It kind of puts you in the Christmas spirit. This family's all excited, kind of rips it out from under them, and things just get worse and worse and worse for our lead characters. I'm surprised that this built a franchise around it and that so many movies were spawned from the original, but the original is the best in my opinion. It's just the most enjoyable and the most well made. If you've never seen the original Silent Night, Deadly Night, the rest of them in the series, there's some of them that are worth watching, but this one is definitely a worthwhile addition into the collection of holiday horror films. These next three movies I'm going to talk about, these are all three movies you've probably seen or at least heard of, but these are my three absolute favorite holiday horror films. So first up is going to be Henry Selick's The Nightmare Before Christmas. I have a Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo on my leg. People argue all the time whether this is a Christmas movie or it's a Halloween movie. To me personally, it is both. The music in this is some of my favorite music in any Disney movie or any animated film, period. It's just so iconic. The way that the characters look is so unique and brilliant. Love the stop motion animation in this. It's charming, it's witty, it's dark, it's depraved. It's just one of the best animated films ever made, not just surrounding the holiday season. I think about this movie nonstop. I typically watch it 3 or 4 times around this time of year. And if you've never seen The Nightmare Before Christmas before, what are are you doing with your life, you are 100% missing out. Up next is Joe Dante's Gremlins, another must watch around the holiday season for me. I love this movie. I think it is one of the best horror comedies ever made because the horror is taken very seriously and the comedy is genuinely funny. I think the casting in this movie is absolutely perfect. The practical puppeteering in this is some of the most impressive of any movie ever made. Just watching it now, it so seamlessly transitions into modern day. I feel like most of it holds up. There's some compositing issues where they don't use the puppeteering and they do like stop motion. Some of it doesn't look the greatest, but I feel like all the puppeteering in this really holds up well. It's demented, it's hilarious. It's just everything you could want in a holiday horror comedy. Gremlins is one of the greatest movies of all time. Most people have seen it, but if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It is amazing. And then arguably my favorite holiday horror movie possibly is Bob Clark's Black Christmas. It's hard to believe that this is the same guy who would go on to direct A Christmas Story. Really kind of shows you the polar opposites inside of the man. But this is one of the greatest slasher movies ever made. It is dark and suspenseful. I love how we don't really learn a whole lot about who the slasher is, and so much more about this movie. Very similar to John Carpenter's Halloween. It's all about the evil that already exists. It's great character writing as well. All of the girls that live in the sorority house in this movie are fantastic actresses, and they give amazing performances, and you really care about these characters because of the way that they're written. I love that the suspense just starts from the very first frame and continues to build until the third act climax. It is horrifying. It is just one of the best slasher films. Take away the holiday element, and it's just one of the best slasher films ever made. I recommend this to everyone when they're looking for a holiday horror movie because it is that brilliant. If you've never seen Black Christmas before, you definitely need to watch it. And I quickly want to mention the 2006 Black Christmas remake, which is not as good as the original, but it's still a really great slasher film. It is brutal and dark. It's almost darker than the original. The performances aren't as great. There's some pacing issues with it, but it's still a really worthwhile watch. And then the one that came out in 2019 is absolutely horrible. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. But the 2006 movie is definitely worth checking out as well if you've never seen it before. So those are some of my favorite holiday horror films. What are some of your favorite holiday horror films? Let me know in the comments. I'm always looking for more to add into my rotation, but these are just some of my favorites that I've built up over the years. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.